With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin. On today's episode of Barnstable This Morning, we debuted a brand new segment featuring the Mass Maritime Academy in Buzzards Bay. The school's president, Admiral Richard Gernon, joined us this morning for the very first time.
Good morning, Sarah. Nice to be with you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited to have you as a part of our show and very pleased to welcome you here this morning.
I'm happy to be there.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the history of the Mass Maritime Academy for our viewers who may not be aware of what the school's all about. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit of the history of Mass Maritime?
Actually, back in 1891, people in Massachusetts thought that it would be a good idea to have people from this state involved in maritime commerce. Massachusetts was one of the biggest maritime states, and we established back then the Massachusetts Nautical School. And at the time, it was just males, and it was an apprenticeship program. And over the first 50 years of the academy, we were a ship tied up in Boston, adjacent to the USS Constitution, in fact, and our students sailed the world. And then what's probably interesting to your viewers is that during World War II, the Massachusetts Maritime Academy was actually housed at Barnstable Town Hall and the offices, the annex there. So from 1942 or so straight through 1948, the cadets of the academy, in preparation for moving cargo during World War II, were trained right there in downtown Barnstable.
Right, and that's actually the same building where we broadcast from.
That's right.
That's such an interesting piece of history. I mean, this building itself is so fascinating and so nice to have that tie with Mass Maritime.
And then in 48, we moved to the current location here in Buzzards Bay. And over the past 5 or 6 years, we've gone from 800 students to almost 1,400, from 2 majors, deck, marine transportation, engineering, marine engineering, to 6 undergraduate majors. We've added emergency management, marine safety, environmental protection, facilities, engineering, and international maritime business. And then we've added 2 master's degrees, one in emergency management and one in facilities management.
And you really have a beautiful campus there on Taylor's Point in Buzzards Bay. Tell me a little bit about, I want to learn more about what the students learn. I mean, just the amount of educational opportunities for the students you have that you just mentioned. It's such a broad range of things. So tell me a little bit more about the education offered at Mass Maritime.
Well, it really is unique, and people overuse that word, but it applies here. First of all, it's a Bachelor of Science degree. So all of the students who attend Massachusetts Maritime are involved in the typical college undergraduate baccalaureate program that involves chemistry, calculus, physics, English, civics, the whole panoply of courses that you would see at any ordinary college. On top of that, we add a focus on the specialty maritime subjects. For example, marine transportation majors, or known here as deckies, they'll take celestial navigation. They'll take rules of the road. Marine engineers will take boilers and turbines. They'll understand welding and metallurgy and strength of materials. Facilities engineers will understand massive power plants, whether they be nuclear-powered or gas-fired. Emergency management majors will work at how FEMA and MEMA work in a crisis. Marine safety, environmental protection, they're going to study marine biology, ichthyology. International business will study, focus on micro and macro economics. And on top of that, we layer what I think is truly the best part of this education, and that's practical experience. Every single student who attends Massachusetts Maritime gets between 4 and 6 months of practical experience in their major, in the real world, in a real job that more often than not pays a real wage while they're earning college credits. And that learn, do, learn mantra, that is our educational philosophy. I think that, more than anything, separates our education from ordinary colleges.
And practical experience is really so important when it comes to learning. There's so much more you can learn outside a classroom, as you said, in the real-world environment, in a real-world situation, than you could just simply in the classroom.
And it provides confidence in the student that what they're learning is truly applicable. It provides an additional dimension of understanding that goes beyond chalk on a chalkboard or colored pencils on a whiteboard. So for us, that's critical. Northeastern University is known across Massachusetts as an expert in that. We've been doing it since 1891.
Amazing. And you also have the training ship Kennedy. It's a 540-foot steamship, and I was actually very fortunate I headed over to the academy. I think it was this past January or February when the ship returned, to see all the cadets come home, and just amazing to see them dressed in their uniforms, waving, and the amount of people that were there at Taylor's Point waiting for them to come home. So what can you tell me about the Kennedy and what the cadets do while they're aboard the ship?
The Kennedy is actually a converted cargo ship. In her first life, as the Velma likes, she was a cargo ship carrying cargo around the United States. So up and down the Mississippi, through the Gulf Coast, up and down the East Coast. And in 2003, she was converted into a training ship. So the ship itself is owned by the federal government, and it's a 1968 hull. So think of it as a 1968 Chevy pickup truck that has been converted into a Winnebago. And every January and February, we load the family up and we take a 2-month trip either to the Caribbean or to Europe. This year, we're actually going to get underway in early January, go through the Panama Canal into the Pacific Ocean, go to Costa Rica, cross the equator, go to Ecuador, back through the canal, go to Key West, and then come home. And most people think of that as a cruise or a vacation, but it's anything but. This is a 6-credit college course. The students are going to be doing all the work, and there's truly a lot of work. There is a midterm, there's a final, there's maintenance, there's watch standing. So this is as far away from the Royal Caribbean or Norwegian Cruise Lines trips as you can imagine. But for the students, it's a wonderful learning experience. They get practical experience in their majors. They get some world travel, and they get to understand that there are cultures out there different from the American culture. They get to put some miles under their keel, and all of that adds up to a better graduate when it comes time for their June graduation.
Exactly, and they operate the ship during that cruise as well, correct?
They do everything. They do the maintenance, they steer, they navigate, they load fuel oil when we refuel in port. They operate the steam plant, they operate the generators, they make the electricity, they make fresh water, they handle the wastewater plant, they do it all.
Just what an amazing experience for the cadets, for sure. And Admiral Grinnan, one other thing about Mass Maritime that I wanted to touch upon today as we're kind of introducing you to our viewers is really the cutting-edge environmental technology you have on campus. You have a very successful wind turbine, you've got solar panels, and you're testing a new turbine as well. So can you tell our viewers a little bit about your commitment to green energy and that kind of emerging technology?
Oh, thanks for that, Sarah. This is great. More than 53% of our students are engineers. And a vast majority of those engineers end up back ashore, either in nuclear power plants, ordinary fossil fuel-fired plants, building maintenance. They are the building managers for hospitals and for high-rises. And what we've discovered is that they truly are wonderful resources for their employers. But they were missing a piece, and it was this green renewable energy. So a number of years ago, we embarked as a college on new technology. As I had mentioned, students at Mass Maritime are very involved in their education. The practical piece is important to us. So we wanted a wide variety of green renewable energy producing sources here on the campus so the students could walk up to it, take a look at it, take it apart, put it back together again, see how it worked. And we started with a wind turbine.
Admiral Rick Grinnan will join us Tuesday mornings on Barnstable This Morning. We look forward to talking with him in depth about the Academy each week. Be sure to tune in to Barnstable This Morning each weekday from 7:30 to 9 on Channel 18. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.